Good day, my name is Christelle from France de Klerk Independent Technical Analysts. Martin wanted us to look at Telkom. Telkom have been fighting this 40-week moving average represented by the red line for a couple of weeks. And now the big question is, how far will Telkom decline? At the moment, my stochastic indicator is sitting on a 58, which means it's in no man's land, and we would prefer it to be oversold. So at the moment, it's a sit on your hands situation. Technically, how far can the share go? It can go back to this low there of around 17 Rand and 2 cents. If Telkom finds support there and starts to bounce again, it might be sitting there here with a possible double bottom. However, should Telkom start to find support here and turn around, we can be sitting here with a possible cup and handle formation. The first sign of strength on Telkom will only be above 31 Rand and 19 cents, and a possible stop loss would be 25 Rand 16. So Martin, if you want to buy Telkom, do so above 31 Rand 19 and use that level at the 25 Rand 16 as a possible stop loss. There's a clear resistance line waiting at 36 Rand 59. Should Telkom change that level into a support, this possible cup and handle formation will be confirmed. The big test is that 40-week moving average. Why? Above the 40-week moving average, the long-term sentiment towards the share changes to positive. At the moment, with that stochastic, I would rather sit on my hands. Ishmael wanted to talk Omnia, and his question was, he wasn't sure whether he should top up on the share, I'm assuming he's out of the profit. Ishmael, our recommendation is always don't add up too soon. In other words, you should be at least down 45 or 50% on your previous purchase, and the recommendation is do not overexpose yourself to one share because shares low can get lower. At the moment, Omnia is sitting here with a head and shoulder formation. Yes, it might be building on a possible another right shoulder, or if the share starts to consolidate above 30 Rand 80, the warning formation of this head and shoulder formation would be wiped off the table, and we can assume that Omnia then reached to higher levels. Above 30 Rand 80, we will feel comfortable about Omnia. However, should the share retrace and go back to the neckline of around 19 Rand and starts to change that neckline into a resistance, that head and shoulder formation will be confirmed, which can take the share a lot lower. The first conservative target for a head and shoulder formation is the length of either the left or the right shoulder projected downwards from where it will be confirmed, which means Omnia can go back to around 10 Rand 61. The full target of my formation is the length of the full head projected downwards, so that can take Omnia back to around 3 Rand 94. Having said that, above that 30 Rand 80 level, that warning would become completely obsolete, and we can assume that the momentum to the top will continue. The 40-week moving average, which represents that red line, is a critical level, and we can see for a couple of weeks the share has been fighting it and have not managed to change that level into a support yet. And that 40-week moving average, it's waiting at 27 Rand 29. Sometimes traders don't want to wait for that left shoulder or right shoulder to become support levels. So if you want to maybe have a better entry level, you can use 28 Rand 77 as a possible entry level. But then you run the risk that it might just be building on another right shoulder. Also take note, these are weekly graphs and the share is already overbought on my stochastic indicator. So that might not be an ideal level to enter the share. Lerata wanted us to look at the SatrixFini ETF, ticker STXFN. Lerata, we can see that this ETF is clearly in a caught within this triangle formation. Now, a triangle formation is positive. If this ETF can manage to change that upper band into a support, and that is waiting there around 10 Rand 75. But if the lower band of the triangle changes into a resistance, which it has done, and that weighted there around 10 Rand 22, it means that the overall momentum to the bottom can continue. And this symmetrical triangle becomes then a bearish pennant. A bearish pennant is a continuation pattern. It means that it extends the overall trend to the downside. And we can see this ETF has been declining and then found a little bit of pause here in this triangle. And now since it has broken below that lower band, it means that this leg can continue even down further here. So let's hope that this ETF, Lerato, finds some buyers and people start to support the stocks, the banks, especially in this sector, so that this ETF can possibly turn around. Also keep in mind, it's not an exact science, right? So what can happen is it can be supported here and starts to bounce back and maybe change that upper line into a support. And that's why position size is so critical, to make sure you do not overexpose yourself to one ETF or share. If this ETF finds support and break, you can be maybe sitting there with a false break. It doesn't mean if a support or resistance gets confirmed that it's going to remain there and become a definite. Peter wanted us to look at Volkswagen listed, and he said particularly, please, the one on the DAX. So I'll make sure that it's the one on the DAX. Peter, we can see here that Volkswagen is possibly sitting with a cup and handle formation. Now, a cup and handle formation is a nice cup and a possible handle that might be building here on Volkswagen. And we can see that there's strong support there that needs to remain in place in order to make this cup and handle formation a possibility. And that support is waiting there around 127 euros. Above 127 euros, I feel comfortable about the Volkswagen graph, but technically that cup and handle formation will only be confirmed when the level of 146 euro and 66 cents changes into a support. Also take note, Peter, how close that level is waiting to that 40-week moving average. And that 40-week moving average is the line in the sand for long-term investors. Above it, we can assume that the long-term sentiment has changed to positive. But below these support levels, you can maybe become a little bit more nervous. Stop loss that I would use is 121 euros if you want to maybe consider this Harami candle as a possible buy opportunity to enter this share. And obviously, nice windows is always a strong target for upside should the share find buyers to support it to higher levels. And the window on Volkswagen is waiting between 162 euros 54 and 165 euros 34. And that gap is a nice possible target that Volkswagen can aim to should this cup and handle formation become a reality. Susan wanted us to look at Kraft Heinz. And Kraft Heinz, we know, has been in a consolidation base for quite a while, but at the moment, this possible inverse head and shoulder formation on Kraft Heinz have been confirmed. And an inverse head and shoulder formation is a positive formation. And the left shoulder, along with the head, and the possible right shoulder has now come into play when that level around $33.54 changed into a support. So what is the target of this inverse head and shoulder formation? The first conservative target is the length of the shoulder projected upwards, which means my first target for Kraft Heinz is around $36.68. And the full target of the share is the full head projected upwards, which means Kraft Heinz can possibly go to around $46.22. When will the optimism around this formation be off the table? As soon as these support levels around $30.80 starts to change into resistance levels. And then obviously that big test will be the red line represented by the 40-week moving average. Susan, I think you can still hold on to this share. The inverse head and shoulder formation has been confirmed. It is trading strongly above that 40-week moving average. And if you have a look back, I mean, this share is trading at record lows. Beautiful upside, possible upside is still on the cards for Kraft Heinz. Ishmael wanted us to look at Boeing. And we've said a couple of times, Boeing is sitting here with a possible another cup and handle formation. With the cup that is waiting there, found some resistance, and now it's building on a possible handle. So the first sign of optimism, if you want to buy Boeing, Ishmael is waiting above $174.40. It closed last night at 174.28. So it is a possible buy opportunity. Stop loss that you can use is around $143.01. And I think there's some nice windows at the top. Obviously, nice targets that you can use for Boeing. And that first window is waiting at $249.80. And the one in February 2020 is waiting there at $330.23. Nice upside for Boeing. We know that they have deep waters to walk through, but the technical graph tells us that on pullbacks, there is some support. The question might be, Christelle, why don't you use that level rather as the cup and handle formation? But I'm trying to find a closer entry level, and some might even go back because that is a lot stronger level there, above 189 Rand 53. Consider also a buy opportunity if you want to trade the cup and handle formation. But keep in mind that below these levels there of around 143, the momentum to the bottom can continue again on Boeing. Please feel free to send us your request through for next week's show. Have a fantastic week. Take care.